Hello and welcome to the CX Files podcast. I'm your host, Mark Hillary. ResQ is a British customer service specialist based in Hull. They've recently been named a 3-star company by the Best Companies organisation. Now, this is an employee-focused accreditation process, and a 3-star rating means world class. They've recently published a great video on LinkedIn about achieving this accreditation, and if you haven't seen the video, then follow the link in the show notes here, because I think this is a really great example of a company capturing their culture in a 2-minute video. I called the CEO and co-founder of ResQ, Gill Marchbank, to find out some of her top tips for creating and delivering world-class company culture in an organization that's focused on delivering great CX. Okay, Gill, it's great to have you on the CX Files, and this is one of the final shows of the year. We're just sort of winding down and going forward into next year. But I recently saw your video, and that was about the Best Companies 3-star accreditation. And it was an amazing video. It looked like you had great fun filming that as well. But what's the importance that ResQ attaches to this kind of industry recognition?
Thanks, Mark. It's incredibly important for us personally as a business, but also for the industry. I think we're the only 3-star accredited outsourced company in the UK. But the real thing for me is that it's voted for by our people, and they work for us, and they believe they work for a 3-star company. So my team and I are very, very proud of that. But the thing with Best Companies is it is all about employee engagement, but it does cover a number of distinct areas. I'm not sure if you know about how the detail of these awards, but it covers health and well-being, fair deal, my company, my manager, and giving something back. So when we started the process a few years ago, when we got the results, we were able to really target key areas where we need to improve or do better. And we worked on our health and well-being by putting in place mental health first aiders, ResQ ambassadors, introduced a talent spotting program, and we launched our quarterly all hands. So in our first year, we got ones to watch. In our second year, we got a 1-star rating, and in our third year, we received a 3-star rating. So that was kind of the progression as we went through things. But I think for me, what was most exciting was when we got 3-star. It was during lockdown, and everybody went berserk to me on our ResQ Facebook hub, telling us how proud they were of me. And I go, it wasn't me, it was you guys. It was you guys that voted. So a huge amount of internal recognition from our people who are really proud of the 3-star accreditation.
That's amazing, and I think it's really interesting that you sort of listed specific steps that you took there. But I think, like, taken as a whole, it seems that it's clearly the culture of the organisation. That sort of all adds up into the culture, and that must play a really important role in attracting people to the company. So how difficult is it to, I guess, use culture to attract people and then also to maintain that? Now you've sort of hit that 3-star level. How do you maintain that?
Yeah, that's a difficult question. I think with the video, the reason we did the video was to really show inside our business as somebody sat at home, maybe thinking about looking for a new job or whatever, because I think it really does embody the culture of our business, the singing, the dancing. They even got me and Nick and Matt dancing at the end, which is the first time we've done that on a video. But I really believe that culture comes from day one of any interaction with our company, whether that's from the onboarding process right through to the training, and you have to start at the very beginning. And I think the reason we've been successful culturally is because we treat our people as individuals and with respect from the minute they come into our business. It's something that was very important to me when we set ResQ up, that we'd create local jobs for local people and be able to give them a career and opportunities to grow and be the best they could be through the support that we could give them. And I think one of the big parts of working at ResQ is that we give you all of the skills that you need to be very good at your job. And it doesn't stop on day one either, because that gives people the improved confidence, and then they start doing better and they start earning more money, and then they want to stay working with us. The other part I would like to say is around our team leaders. I think that our success starts and ends with our TLs. They have such a huge role to play, particularly over the last 2 years. They're not just managing performance anymore. They're counsellors, they're agony aunts, they're mentors, relationship advisors. They cover the whole spectrum, and I think they do an absolutely amazing job of maintaining our culture at the grassroots level.
And so does that mean that you have some sort of way of helping people to progress through the company then? So, you can come in as an agent, but there's all sorts of different paths to like different parts of the company.
We actively encourage people to stay here and build a career. And we have our Building Careers program. And for this year alone, we have promoted 95 people internally into roles such as team leader, coaches, training. We've had quite a few go into IT support as well. And we raise awareness through our careers fairs. It's something we launched pre-COVID, where each department had a stand like you would see at a recruitment fair, I suppose, and people could go and find out about those roles. You find these days that account managers, teams, people don't seem to know as much about them as they used to do, or working, what does it actually a head of operations do? Or so those careers fairs were incredibly useful, and following those, they could sign up to the talent spotting program. And then we would put them on a mentoring program to help them with the skills that they might need. And that leads to our leadership preparation program, the LPP program, which has helped a lot of those 95 people get promoted within our business.
Yeah, that's interesting. And especially that you mentioned there about the importance of IT, because clearly this industry is not just the agents on calls. There's self-service, there's automation, there's all this technology around the contact center. So has the profile of the people and the skills that you look for changed since you started the business then?
I think that we still recruit the same profile of people in our business in particular, because we don't do a lot of the self-serve type of work, but we have changed the way we look. We don't CV sift anymore. We ask people to fill out an online application form, and every single person that applies for a job at ResQ will have a telephone interview. One of the big things that's really important to me is that we hire on attitude. So if you've got the right attitude, you might not have any experience. You might be a recent school leaver. You might have been a butcher or a lorry driver or whatever. And you apply for a job. I want to speak to you. And the reason I say this when people ask me why, I go, well, I was a graduate, a university leaver. I wouldn't have got hired if someone had sifted my CV. And I think it's really important that everyone has an opportunity to have a conversation, regardless of their results at school or A-levels, or whether they left uni or whatever it might be. So we do competency-based interviewing, not skills-based interviewing, because I back my team to give them the skills and knowledge that they would need once they start here. If their attitude is right, they can come here. So that's a big change we made about 2 years ago.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that's interesting, because I've seen that across this industry, like less of a focus on the generic customer service background and more of a focus on competence or skills or experience in a certain area. I mean, does that mean that, if you got a contract with a fast fashion company or a gaming company, you could go through and look at all your applicants and say, well, who's interested in gaming here? Let's give them a call,
We could do that. We do try really hard to build up a talent bank of people. At peak, we've had around 400 people in the talent bank looking for employment. Obviously, as everybody else, our talent bank isn't as healthy at the moment as it has been, but we are building it back up. We've got around 100 people looking for work, and we know what they want to do and where we think they might be best suited. But what I think is that sometimes people think they might be best suited for a particular role, but actually we can guide them and say, I think you'd be really good in this area. Some people aren't as confident as they could be and maybe don't think they could do sales, maybe think they don't only do service, and actually they get into the sales roles and they do extremely well. So we try to unpick the core talents of people as well.
One of the things that comes across in the video about the award was that it seems like everyone actually has a good experience working at the company, so clearly, your culture focuses on employee experience. Do you think that there is a direct connection between that and the customer experience? I mean, can you have a great customer experience if you're not really looking after your employees?
I think it's a symbiotic relationship. I 100% agree with you that a happy employee will provide vastly superior customer service and care to any of our clients' customers. And we see that through the CSAT scores and Net Promoter scores. If they're happy and they want to work here, they don't want to let us down. They don't want to have a bad call. They want to look after that customer and do a good job. And plus, if they're confident and they're trained properly and they have the right skills, it becomes much easier to do a good job on that call. And I think, well, I know for a fact that we have the lowest complaint rate across our estate, across our competitor estate, because of the work that we do in those areas. And we allow agents have access to self-manage on their own performance scores as well on the customer side. So that it creates a little bit of healthy competition amongst the guys as well.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. And I mean, in this kind of post-COVID environment where a lot of agents have been working at home for months, are you now sort of building a hybrid environment or a more flexible environment for them working in future?
Yeah, my message to the business and my focus is on employee choice. So if you want to stay working from home and you feel confident working from home, then you can stay at home. If you want to come back to the office, you can come back to the office. I'm not making a hard and fast rule because I think we need to maintain flexibility on this, and it has to be around individual choices and circumstances. And what I want to build in for next year is that if you are feeling unwell or sick, or your kids are ill, or it's summer holidays, or you have to look after your elderly father or something like that, that you can then ask to work from home during those times, and we'll be deploying our own device solution for that. Because I think we've trusted people through the whole of the last 2 years to work from home and do a good job, and our people have been amazing. And then why would I now say, I don't trust you and I don't believe you? And I just don't think that connects right with our company culture. So giving people their empowerment and flexibility and choice is incredibly important to us as we move forward post-pandemic.
Yeah, and it does seem incredible. Like when we look back to pre-pandemic, people seem to be so scared to ask to leave an hour early because their kids had a school play or something like that, and it's a very positive thing that this flexibility, I think, has been introduced. I mean, clearly you've built a very positive culture for the employees and the management there. And clearly that culture only works and can only be defined if you're leading from the front, and you're demonstrating this is how the business is going to operate. So if you were talking to an audience, other executives within contact center, BPO industry, what would you say are the sort of 2 or 3 tips that you believe help you to actually demonstrate that this culture is real and it's not just something for the, your annual report?
For me, it's all about trust. We have a saying here, if we can't trust you, you can't work here. And that's what we've built all of our basis of our business on. Tell the truth, do what you say you're going to do all of the time at all levels. It doesn't matter if you're an agent or the CEO. People have to be able to trust you. And if somebody makes a mistake and doesn't follow that culture properly, or does something that you wouldn't want them to do, then you have to fix it. Don't sweep it under the carpet. And that's probably the biggest piece of advice I would give to anybody, because if people can trust me and they can trust my team, they will ask for help when they need it. And that becomes a self-fulfilling part of your culture. Secondly, I'd say collaboration and empowerment. Having empowered employees is the single biggest step forward to success. And certainly as I can prove that over the last couple of years. So I would say to people, don't be scared to share the numbers, good or bad, share the future and the plan and get buy-in from everybody, and then build it together and share the success and ask for ideas. Because if you do that, everybody's accountable for the delivery of it and everyone's buying into it. And that can be right down at agent level. We had our staff Christmas party on Friday night, and I thought to myself, shall I share the numbers? Will they understand what I'm trying to say? And I didn't even get to finish reading out some of the numbers from this year before people were cheering, because they do understand and they want to be part of it. And I think sometimes in bigger businesses than ours, people don't share the numbers and don't share the results. And obviously we've done that this year. We launched our all hands as well, which is a collaborative vision for next year, and that's everybody knows what our targets are. And lastly, this is an obvious one, which everybody will know, but is recognition. Recognise individual success loudly. Our People's Choice Awards on Friday night were unbelievable. When people were collecting their prize, there was tears and laughter, standing ovations, and things that I just couldn't have imagined I would have seen. Obviously, we missed our party last year. But it's not just that, it's having a breakfast with the boss, shaking someone's hand and saying well done, saying thank you. And they're the little things that I really think make a huge difference when you're leading a business to success. And yeah, I'll go and shake anyone's hand now I'm allowed.
Yeah, well, you managed to have a Christmas party this year, and that was certainly impossible last Christmas. So yeah. Congratulations for the Best Companies 3-star recognition, and I hope everything goes well in 2022.
Thanks very much, Mark. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Thanks for downloading the CX Files podcast. If you have a moment, please give us a star rating or review on your favourite podcast provider, because this really helps other people to find the podcast. If you have any suggestions for future guests, or ideas, people or topics, then please just find myself, Mark Hillary, or Peter Ryan on LinkedIn and send a suggestion.